Hi, I'm Wes Allen with DM Tales, and today I'm going to be looking at a new game from Black Fisk Publishing, which looks kind of familiar. Let's roll it. For my reviews over the past year or so, I have been placing the layout and design portions of the reviews to the end of my videos because, well, people just seem to want them there and have the gameplay mechanics up front. But for this, I'm putting it back up at the front of the video because, I mean, look at this thing. It really is the star of the show. Let's take a look here. So, Heroes of Cerulea is an A5 digest sized book weighing in at a svelte 82 pages, and its physical design steals the show because, well, it looks like an NES cartridge. The gray wrap, pretty much spot on for the color of the old cartridges, and the impressions on the front and back covers are identical to what would have been on those NES cartridges of old. The title stickers on both covers as well, they just scream out to people, hey, remember me? Even the placement of the ISBN barcode on the back cover of the book is spot on. The only thing that would have made this look more like the NES cartridge of the game to which it is paying homage is if the cover paper was actually gold. But I don't think it would look as good then. And I gotta tell you, how effective is this nostalgia design? Well, the moment I saw Doug Shute from Victory Condition Gaming share this book on his channel, I was already over on Black Fisk's website placing an order because the vibe just hits hard. The front cover page displays a colorful overworld map in brilliant pixel art, which is definitely not from a game which includes the word Zelda. It is totally its own thing. But if this map were found in a Zelda game, I wouldn't even bat an eye. It fits right in. The homage is just that good. The back cover pages have a rule summary, and the page before the rear cover pages has a master summary. So pretty much every bit of information needed to run the game can be found there. It's all a nice design. The book also comes with a book ribbon, even though a volume that's this short doesn't really require it. But I'm always going to celebrate it when there's a book ribbon because book ribbons are just awesome. Unfortunately, the book itself is printed on glossy paper, so glare is an issue, and the tactile feel of the pages isn't quite as pleasant as it is with flat paper. And yet I'm of two minds on the paper choice for Heroes of Cerulea. Because on one hand, I dislike glossy paper because uncoated flat paper, it's just better. It is. I mean, so there. That's just the way that I think, and that's where I'm going. But on the other hand, the instruction manuals, which this game is designed to look like, they were printed on glossy paper, and those old instruction manuals are the stuff of legend. I mean, that's where you got certain names for things inside the Legend of Zelda. So I'm going to give them a pass on choosing glossy paper for this particular game, but I feel icky doing it. The artwork for the game is all pixel-based. Though from my observation, it feels more like stuff from the 16-bit era rather than the 8-bit era the book design evokes. And that's not a knock on the book, it's just an observation because 16-bit pixel art is fantastic. The colors, the flourishes, to depict the motion and the backgrounds, they're all amazing. I love all the artwork in this game. And the homage to old school video game books also carries on to the font choices that are used inside the book. Both the heading and body fonts are faux pixelated, evoking both the printing technique used at the time for these books and the on-screen look of text from those old 8-bit and 16-bit eras. There's no soft angles, there's no font smoothing, there is only jagged corners and right angles. And it might make the text a little bit more tiring to read, and the font size, I have to say, is a little bit rough on my eyes because I'm an old person now. But I have to applaud the attention to detail because it looks the part. Headings in the game are well done. Top levels are white text set in a black field, while second level headings utilize the same font, just a little bit of a smaller size, colored to match the accent of the book section in which they appear. Each section does get their own accent. There are many callouts in this game, which are a black field with rounded white corners and a white border with white text inside. Each callout has a title which overlaps that callout border on the top. It's all a nice look. Bullet lists in the game are very attractive. They're all right pointing bullet triangles. Like the second level headings, they take on the accent color of the book for that section. Tables also are well done. The header row is white text set against a background which matches the section's accent color. And then they also utilize alternating row colors, but with a nice twist. Rows are either white or transparent. And because each book section uses a tint for the page background, which complements the accent color for that section, it makes the tables feel like they belong where they appear in the book. I really like that. It's a well done presentation. My only critique would be that I kind of wish the included dungeons kept up the "this is a captured screenshot" feel that the overworld map has on that interior cover page. It would have taken me right back to the NES Player's Guide, and that would have been really cool. The maps they do include there are good, don't get me wrong, but they're about halfway between the screen capture look and an abstracted map. I would have loved to see them go all out on those. But still, this is a really cool product. Rolls in Heroes of Cerulea are all done using D4s. Now, please don't tell D4s I said this because they both hold grudges and are dangerous caltrops, but a traditional D4 is the most unsatisfying die type to roll because it just kind of, well, it hits the surface and then just stops and stays there. And I couldn't, for the life of me, wonder why the game would use such an unsatisfactory die type, which also has really narrow possibilities for success or failure. I just couldn't figure out why. I mean, it seemed weird until I got some sleep and remembered the game it's actually trying to pay homage to. Yeah, it's D4s are triangles. Sometimes I actually get things. Sometimes. Characters all have a certain set of actions they're able to use in the game. They're listed on page 6 of the rulebook, or also on the bottom of the character sheet, which looks really cool. We'll talk about that in a second. And if the action is deemed dangerous by the master, then an action roll will be called for. There are only 3 attributes in the game: might, bravery, and insight, each of which is tied to a specific segment of the actions. Each attribute has a number which corresponds to the number of d4s rolled for that action when it is taken. If a character has no points assigned to an attribute, then they will roll 2d4 and take the lower result. It's basically disadvantage. Rolls also have the same range of results. 1 to 2 is a failure and causes the character to lose 1 heart if the action is dangerous, like as if it was in combat. 3 is a successful action, but the character is still going to be in trouble and will lose 1 heart if the action was likewise dangerous. Unless, that is, they were defending, in which case they will lose no hearts. They'll just succeed in the action. A 4 is a clean success with no penalties for the character, and if you have any more 4s in the roll, they're going to contribute to the success, and they're going to add some sort of benefit for the character. The added effects are left up to the master, but extra damage is a typical option. Players roll all the dice in this game, and this lends itself to an interesting combat situation. Whenever a character is facing multiple opponents, they may take a direct action against a single opponent and then make defend rolls against all the other combatants who are attacking them. Now, this technically gives a character multiple actions in a round, but all these rolls, including the attack action, are made -1d, that is, with 1 less die. Video game logic is manifested throughout Heroes of Cerulea. Health, as you may have already surmised, is measured in hearts. And, like latter games in a certain franchise, hearts can be replenished by eating. If a character reaches 0 hearts, they go unconscious, but will wake up with 1 heart after a fight. If all the heroes fall unconscious, then their progress is saved, and the party appears at the start of the last dungeon they entered. Certain abilities also cost energy, which must be replenished, and like health, this is done through eating. But beyond that, the video game logic gets even deeper. If a character falls off an edge, they lose 1 heart, and then they appear the next round of combat near the edge from which they fell. Characters cannot harm friendly NPCs in the game, no matter how hard they try, although chickens were not specifically mentioned in the book, maybe for copyright reasons. Keys will disappear when they are used. Boss rooms steel shut when the characters enter, so they can't get out. And when monsters are defeated, they disappear, but they have a chance to leave a drop behind. Now, I know a lot of TTRPG players who despise having any sort of video game logic at their table games. And to be honest, it's not something that I generally enjoy either. I want my role-playing games to be a little bit non-video gamey. But, and maybe it's just the nostalgia factor working here, but I think I'd like this game as a nice change of pace because it just seems so much fun. There's 5 different kin in the game, and they do not relate to a certain video game franchise at all. You have Elf, Avian, Geon, Aquarian, and Seedling. Each of these comes with its own special ability, and 2 of them have starting modifiers for their attributes. A character's kin also determines the base weapon that they will use when they are starting the game. And in addition to their kin-specific weapon, each character starts with 3 hearts, 3 energy, 15 gems, you get it by now, a small pouch which allows them to carry 4 items, and a random special item which gives the character something extra, such as a magic cape or a lantern. When assigning attributes, characters are able to assign the values 3, 2, and 1, each to one of the attributes, although kin modifiers may also alter these as the character creation process goes on. A Geon, for example, is able to gain 1 of might, but must lower the value for bravery by 1. That just offsets the bonus. Each character is also assigned a randomly generated starting color for both their hair and their clothes. I love this accent. It just feels like it fits right into the game. It's all simple. It's meant to boost the video game experience while playing Heroes of Cerulea, and even the character sheet, which is clean and easy to follow, looks like a screen grab from an old NES game. I'm a big fan. Pages 16 to 33 are the exclusive domain for Masters, the game's name for Game Masters. It contains tables for building dungeons, which the characters must explore in order to fulfill their quest, and a nice list of monsters with some specific pixel art that depicts each, and it's really beautiful. There are tables in this section for generating bosses, building shops for determining which special item might be stored in a dungeon, and what loot can be found in either a chest or appear when a monster is defeated. There's even a table for determining what a party finds as they travel about Cerulea, giving the game a light-hearted grid crawl mechanic if a table would enjoy it. You can just hand-wave overland travel if you want, but you're missing part of the game. It's all fast, it's all simple, it's meant to be fun, while again, keeping that video game experience at the fore. The plot of the game is to get the 3 pieces of the Trinity, and then go defeat the Shadow King who has taken over Cerulean Citadel in Citadel Town. Yeah, that doesn't seem familiar at all. That's part of the fun. But because this is the quest, there are 4 dungeons included which take up the bulk of the book. There's 3, 1 for each of the 3 pieces of the Trinity, and then 1 for defeating the Shadow King himself. With these 4 dungeons, Heroes of Cerulea includes everything needed to beat the game. It's a little short campaign. But if a master wants to extend outplay by breaking the Trinity pieces up a little bit more, or by making the quest for the Trinity pieces take place in several other dungeons, while using the 3 included dungeons for side quests, then those included dungeons become models which can be referenced as the master creates new dungeons for the players to explore. Now, in this section, as I said, I do wish the dungeon maps looked a little bit more like screen captures from things like the NES Player's Guide, but they're still well done, and they get the point across for what exploring it would look like. And the dungeon design, it's just spot on. It feels like Nintendo should be using some of these dungeons for an upcoming Zelda game, because the logic is right there. Once you get into the logic of the world, it all just makes sense. Now look, I admit I am gushing over this, and that a lot of that gush is due to a pure nostalgia trip, but I mean, come on! I mean, really. If you're a gamer who remembers the days of blowing on NES cartridges to get them to load properly, even though everybody says that didn't actually work, it really did. And if you enjoy Zelda games, then Heroes of Cerulea, it's made literally for you. Go get this game. And if you're not in that camp of people, because, well, we're getting old now, but you enjoy beautiful things and appreciate cool pixel art and are looking for a fun little game as a palate cleanser, pick up Heroes of Cerulea. It's cool. You can get this book from Blackfish Publishing's site for about $32.44 US. Prices are listed in euros, so they're going to fluctuate. This book comes with a PDF. If you want to get the PDF alone, that's going to cost you about $10.78. Again, the euro conversion thing comes into play. Now, $32 might seem a little bit much for such a small book, but look at this thing. It's beautiful. I really like it. And then as an added bonus over on that website, there's also a number of other dungeons and a solo play adaptation that's available for purchase. And they're relatively cheap, only a couple of euros. I'm going to have some fun with this game really, really soon. It just looks like a blast. I am back to reading Claim the Sky from Monty Cook Games in preparation for Supervember, and I'm really looking forward to finishing it and then delving into the other superhero games which have been sitting on my shelf for far too long. I have also pulled down the Electric State from the shelf. I'm going to be digging into that as much as I can so I can drop that review probably at the beginning of December. And speaking of December, I'm going to be at PAX Unplugged on Friday and Saturday this year, so let me know if you're planning on being there. Maybe we can connect. I'll try to be wearing my merch so I stand out. And then finally on Tuesday, October 22nd at 8 p.m., I'm going to be over on my friend Dave Ward's, that is Grimwood Games, his Twitch and YouTube channels, where I'm going to be running a Cypher System one-shot which will be raising money for folks affected by both Hurricanes Helene and Milton. Dave's going to be playing and producing, so thank you for that, Dave. And we're going to be joined by Dan from Avenue Studios, Dean from Cypher Unlimited, and Jorben from Elder Goblin Games. And this is a very personal mission for him because he's literally from Asheville. So this is something that's dear to him, and I'm glad that he'll be on and able to play and maybe share a little bit about his experience fleeing from this awful storm. The link's going to be in the description below. Until we see each other again, folks, happy playing, everyone.